To the Point with Michael Williams.
Good morning. My guest this morning is Patrick Franklin, President and CEO of the Urban League of Palm Beach County. A familiar face here for many years, certainly in the community. Thanks for joining us.
Michael, good morning.
We'll talk a little bit about, or as much as you'd like, about the get out the vote, the election in terms of getting out the vote. But you and I have talked a lot over the years. The Urban League's more than just that. I want you to talk a little bit about where you are, where you're going in the new year, but we'll begin with that. What did, Election Day well behind us now. Talk about sort of the get out the vote efforts, where your head and thoughts are, or were.
I think the shock from the election is still lingering for a lot of us. It
depends what side you're on.
Depends what side. If you're on the Republican side, you're elated. You're going through the process of inauguration now and all that. If you're on the Democratic side, absolutely tears and fears.
Why are you shocked?
I thought that the Democratic ticket was a little stronger than it appeared to be. And I think a lot of people did, and a lot of people were stunned at the ultimate results, because not only it was a loss across the board.
Well, does it say that Democrats and those people of color starting to peel away from the Democratic Party? The Democratic Party thought those were their voters. They thought Hispanic voters were a safe block for them. And critics of the Democratic Party say it needs to wake up and realize that it's not just a voting block for you to have anymore.
No, it's not a given. It's not a given at all anymore. We can't take that for granted that the traditional groups will vote and carry on the Democratic way. I think the messaging was not on point. We missed it.
How so?
We focused in on women's rights abortion. That was not the key. Economy was still number one.
What were you hearing? What do you hear from communities of color that you all serve largely about the peel away in some respects? And did you hear some that said, I feel the Republican ticket cares more about my economic needs, my pocketbook? What were you hearing?
We heard that loud and clear after the election now. I think the refocus in on the economy and jobs and on the plight of people, the cost of goods and services, that's where I think the Democrats should focus in on more and understand that the real rub for people is at the grocery store, is at buying goods and services wherever it may be. How do we focus on that? How do we help them? How do we serve them?
And in that sense, you feel the Democrats failed to get that message across?
We didn't get it We didn't get it across clear enough. It didn't set in the place where it needs to be to cast a vote.
Jobs, job security, the ability to provide for one's family. And in that sense, you have to applaud, if you're going to make that argument, you have to say, listen, Republicans did a better job of that.
Well, I think they got the message out, and a lot of the people who voted, a lot of Democrats didn't turn out to vote. I think we missed a large segment of people that said, my vote didn't count. I heard that a lot. My one vote didn't count. We have to get past that. Yes, your vote does count. How do we make sure that happens? We have to assure you that we understand your issues. We have to make you feel that we are right there for you. And that didn't happen.
Let me ask you, when you boil it down to the micro level, Palm Beach County, you heard the complaints here about they're not hearing my real needs. You heard people said they worried my vote didn't count. So you had disappointment at the local level in terms of turnout, and you heard it louder than ever. People said, I may vote for the Republicans this time.
Yes, we did. A lot of younger voters, a lot of younger minorities turned and voted the Republican way. And we need to understand that. I don't think we quite fully understand why our young adults had a tremendous shift over. Either vote for the Republican ticket or not vote at all. And we need to make sure that they are engaged. Primarily what we try to do at the Urban League was to educate and engage our voters. How do we make sure that we educate you with who's running for local office first, and we did that earlier throughout the year. And then we come back and said, how do we make sure that you're engaged in the process to vote? So we have a lot of work to do.
You emphasized many times over the years to me, we're nonpartisan, but clearly serving communities of color. There's a Democratic bent there in what I hear you saying. So what do you say to people say, well, listen, make more effort in making inroads in that nonpartisan way with the Republican side of the ledger, because they're listening to our concerns more, sir?
Well, I think the proof is going to be in the pudding, Michael, coming up in the next 2 years to say, let's see what the results were. Let's see, what did you get for voting for Republican? Let's see, what did you get in your communities, in your neighborhoods? Did it get better? Let's see if that happens, because if that doesn't happen, then the Democrats have an open door to come in and say, did that work for you? Just like the Republicans, when their campaign says, have you had enough of the Democrats? And let's come back and say, did you get anything back from the Republican group that came in office? Tell me. And I think that's where we're going to see a big difference.
You talk about the nonpartisan work you do. What do you say? You'll inevitably have critics. How do you thread the needle with those that say, well, it's all just about the Democrats? What about the Republicans?
No.
What is your message there about how you thread that needle, which is very hard to do anywhere these days, and stay nonpartisan and say, we're first and foremost about your needs, our constituency that we, the urban leagues, serve. And we see this nationwide through this issue of trying to balance these scales.
We focus in a lot on the local election and a little bit more on the national, but our focus is on educating who is running for office, who has your best interest in mind, who best aligns with your values and your morals and everything. And once we did that, and we had Republicans, we had Democrats, we had candidates from both sides.
I saw your lecture. I helped to moderate one.
Exactly. We did not separate. So that's how we stay nonpartisan. We don't campaign for anyone. We don't go out and knock on doors for any one particular party. Our focus is on engagement, and we have to do a better job. And we have to get those who have the ability to come out, volunteers with resources and ability to knock on doors to help us get that message out.
We talk about get out the vote efforts, a big part of what you do, but you all do a lot of different things. Talk about 2025. Let's get out of the political sphere for a moment. Talk about some of the big things that excite you, that are important, whether it's helping people on affordability issues or you name it.
I think, Michael, I just had a big meeting with a lot of nonprofit leaders earlier last week, and overwhelmingly, the topic of discussion was homelessness, affordability for housing, youth homelessness, families that are living in cars. We have over 5,000 families living in cars here in Palm Beach County. A lot of people don't know that. And their ability to survive each and every day. Truancy in Palm Beach County attendance is an issue in our public schools. Why? A lot of our younger kids won't go to school because they don't have a uniform to wear. They don't have clean clothes to wear. They're living out of their cars, and it's just that stigma of, I don't want to be seen.
It's such a parade of horribles, and it breaks your heart to hear those stories. So how do we move the needle forward in a positive direction? What's being done? What are you all advocating needs to be done in a bigger way?
We're going to have to make the case and make the awareness greater in our community. Let people understand this is the issue, define it well, make sure that we can understandably put it out there, and then ask for support. How can you help us solve this issue? There are many nonprofits out here that are willing and able to support an issue of homelessness for youth and families. And only thing we need funds. We need the funds either from local, from individuals. We need the funding from the state level. The legislators have to understand the plight of their constituents, not just those who support them and vote for them, but those who live in their communities. And we have to turn that tide.
Do you feel like you're getting enough people to listen at the municipal and county level, statewide level, where funding is needed to make some of what you're talking about more of a reality?
Michael, if they heard us, we wouldn't have the problems that we have. All right, if they heard us loud enough, we wouldn't be searching and crying out for funds and support. It hasn't been heard yet. We have to find a different angle to build the case for support and present it.
How do you see doing that in 2025?
I think that we're going to get together as a consortium of nonprofits here in Palm Beach County. We talked about it earlier this week. We have to take action now and come together, not as individual nonprofits, but as a consortium to say, here's a place that will offer housing. Here's a nonprofit that offers food. Here's a place that offers clothing. Here's a place that does, et cetera. And we offer the whole gambit, but come together as one.
And you see that as a big collective
push. That is
what
we're trying to do. Yeah, I think that's what we have to do.
What else is on your ticket for 2025? And I know you have a full plate all the time.
Oh, absolutely. When we come to housing's one, affordability, not only for in a nonprofit arena, but for the for-profit arena. New businesses can't move here, and their employers can't find affordable housing. Okay, their executives can, but can their entry-level staff and staffers find suitable employment here? That's a big issue here. Rent's going up. Evictions are going up throughout the area. How do we combat that? And at the same time, how can those W-2 wage earners who work each and every day at all our resorts and facilities around here, how can they afford to live in Palm Beach County on just an absolute paycheck, from paycheck to paycheck every week?
And your message is we can keep talking about this, and we do, and then we do some more, and we do some more. If we don't do something about it, sooner or later, the erosion of that base of people who really fundamentally drive the community is not going to be there.
Well, Michael, the other thing that just bothers me is this mass deportation scenario that could happen, and that will bring devastation to our area as far as labor, the cost of goods and services. Who is going to be, how long is it going to take you to put a roof on a new roof on your house? Those with $1 million homes and stuff. Those skilled laborers who you may think are illegal or whatever, a lot of them are going to leave to protect themselves.
What do you say to the argument? If they're illegal, they have to go. They have to abide by the law.
Well, we need to pass some type of immigration laws that will keep our workforce intact, because a lot of our immigrants, and I'm not saying they're illegal or legal, hopefully most of them are legal, that we can have that workforce in place.
A lot on your plate, and I appreciate you laying out some of it for us. Issues we need to listen for in the coming year. In a positive vein, what gives you hope? And talk to me. I've been talking to you for many, many years.
Yeah.
What drives you to keep it going? I mean,
Well,
you've got so much.
I tell you what,
deal with.
our youth. I've been at the Urban League for almost 23 years now, and we've had so many youth that have come through the Urban League that have come back now that are professionals, doctors, lawyers, okay, and that have come back, some have come back to this community. That gives you just absolute hope to say that.
And you gave them a hand up years ago.
Oh, absolutely. And they come back and they remember that I came to the Urban League when I was in middle school, when I was in high school. That gives me faith that we have the future looking bright, because our youth are tremendous. All they need is an opportunity.
Big challenges that you've been giving voice to for a long, long time, a fierce advocate for our communities of color and really the entire community. We appreciate the work you've been doing for decades here. And one final thought from you.
One final thought, 2025 is going to be a hell of a year. Let's get ready for it.
All right. As always, great voice in our community. Patrick Franklin, President and CEO of the Urban League of Palm Beach County. Wish you and your family a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, sir.
All right.
The Roundtable with Brian Crowley next. Plenty of Florida political faces and places to keep track of.